And well, tell me a little bit about the manslaughter. What happened there?
It was a fight, and guy grabbed the hammer, tried to hit me with it. I took it from him, hit him with it.
So, question back.
I was working on his house for him, fixing a redwood ceiling. It was falling in, and we had some tools laying around. He grabbed one, tried to hit me with it.
They were fighting about money, women, or drugs?
So, he was drunk and being very belligerent.
We are about to watch a parole revocation hearing out of Louisiana, and look at that background. Look how scary this looks. I mean, this is always what I envision a Louisiana jail would look like. Now, he has been serving basically most of his life in prison since 1980s for a vicious homicide where he hit someone over the head with a hammer over 10 times, but just released and then quickly brought back. Can you even imagine? Let's see if they decide to revoke his parole or if they give him another chance.
We are ready to go. Okay, the committee on parole now is going to go to, let's see, we're going to Beauregard Parish, I believe. And is Beauregard Parish there? Okay, Mr. Leonard Scott.
Sure.
Okay, Mr. Leonard Scott, do you have any staff in the room with you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, would you introduce yourself, please?
I'm Deputy Scott.
Okay, you're Deputy Scott, and we're here with Leonard.
No relation.
Yeah, no relation.
Okay, all right, time is 9:19, by the way, when we'll start this here. Mr. Scott, we've already introduced my cohorts next to me. We're going to be hearing your case. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to be hearing your case now, and there's certain rules that you signed a piece of paper said you would abide by when you got paroled out.
I didn't find it. I don't remember that.
Okay, do you have something in front of you right now with your name on it?
No.
Okay, we're gonna put something up. Do you recognize that form there?
Yeah.
What is that? Yes, in the affirmative? You do recognize that?
Sure.
And that's what we're gonna be talking about today is the fact that you can get an attorney, but you're not gonna be appointed an attorney.
Okay.
You can pay for it yourself and have an attorney, and you wish not to have it. You're not gonna pay for an attorney.
I'm disabled.
Okay, this case is my case, and so I'm going to go over certain rules, and you tell me if you are guilty, not guilty, or guilty with a state, or not guilty with a state. Okay.
Okay.
All right. The first rule: upon release, I'll report no later than 48 hours to probation and parole, Office of Public Safety. Okay, did you, as soon as you got out of jail in Ohio, did you report to the Louisiana State Probation and Parole?
No, sir.
So, excuse me?
No, sir, I did not.
Okay, did you know you were supposed to?
No, I did not.
Okay, so you're saying you're not guilty with a statement?
Yes, sir.
Okay, tell me what your statement is. Why didn't you report if you had signed something saying?
I didn't know. I mean, I just spent 15 more years incarcerated. I had 37 total years incarcerated. I had no idea that I was supposed to report back. I had no means to report back.
Okay.
I was discharged from the Ohio system with nothing, with a bag with a couple of items that I had, and that was the only thing I owned.
Okay.
I ended up in a halfway house in Toledo, Ohio.
Do you have a place to live in Ohio?
No,
No?
no, sir. I was on the streets after that.
Okay. So you pled not guilty to that. Okay. Rule number two, I will submit a monthly report on the 5th of every month until I complete my supervision. Are you guilty or not guilty of that?
I didn't know I had to.
Okay. All right. And number 3, I will live at the address of the certificate and on this certificate. And I'm assuming, how do you plead on that?
Not guilty. There's not even an address on the certificate. There's
Okay.
no address. I don't have an address.
Okay. So you're pleading not guilty, but really you're guilty of not reporting because you didn't have one. So
It's all based on one thing that I didn't report, and I didn't know I had to, sir.
okay.
I just spent 37 years in prison. I lost my mother, my father, my stepfather, my uncles, and my cousins, and everything while I was in prison. When I got out, I was homeless. They literally put me out on the streets. They took me to a halfway house and dropped me off.
Okay. All right. I understand that. Were you arrested in April of 23?
Yes, sir.
Got out 22. You were arrested in April of 23. Tell me about that charge.
It was a simple fight. I got into a fight with a guy. He attacked me, and he chose not to pursue that because he knew he was in the wrong. He attacked me, and I defended myself. That's all it was. And they dismissed the charges. That's why I said, about a parole hold. I was in jail for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and Monday. I went to court Monday morning. They gave me OR bond. I walked out. In other words, no parole hold on me. I didn't even no idea there was a parole anywhere on me. I didn't know I was on parole.
Okay.
I went to the parole board in 2045. I went to parole board at 2045 sentence, right? 25 years, 20 years in, 45 years of age. Now I was denied parole. 2 years later, they discharged me. And they let me go to a detainer. They extradited me back to Ohio, and I spent 15 more years in prison. I discharged that number. They released me. They released me homeless, broke, with nothing, with a bag with about pounds worth of stuff that I had in my possession. It was my own life right there. I said my mother had passed away, my father had passed away, my stepfather had passed away while I was in prison. And I lost uncles and cousins. I didn't know nothing about being on parole. I surely would have reported if I knew. Because
Okay, if we don't revoke your parole, what are you going to do here in Louisiana?
I'm not from Louisiana, sir. I'm from Ohio. My life is in Ohio. I have a fiance in Ohio. I have an apartment in Ohio. I have furniture that I've accumulated. I have a life in Ohio. That's where I live. So I grew up. Lived all my life there.
I thought when you got out, you didn't have anything. You just had.
I've been out since 22, and I accumulated some certain items. And I went through LMH, which is Lucas County Metropolitan Housing, and was awarded an apartment. And I was taking care of that. I was getting this and that together, and I was amassing a life. You gotta remember, I've been in prison all these years. I never had nothing, so I had to start all over again. And I was just in the process of doing that.
Okay, that's where I was confused. I thought you were homeless and out of everything. And I understand you would when you first got out, but you've accumulated some things. And your home now, your home is in Ohio, correct?
Yes, sir.
You going back to Ohio if you don't get revoked? Is that correct?
Yes, sir. I would love to as well. My fiance is waiting on me. She has a bus ticket waiting for me.
About your wife?
That's my fiance. She's not my wife yet. She will be.
Okay. All right, and let's see. You gonna get out if we revoke you gonna get out in a year and a half anyway, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Listen, I didn't know I was supposed to be on parole. I didn't know nothing about it. Never signed no paper saying I was on parole. Nothing. I had no idea that I was on parole because I wasn't reported till a month right now I'm on probation, or unsupervised probation.
Okay,
So, next year.
all right. Do y'all have any questions?
I do.
Yes.
Yeah, you got us in a bond here, okay? So if we don't revoke you, you got to do interstate compact to go back to Ohio.
Yes, sir.
And I don't know what the rules are in Ohio, but if she's your fiance, odds are they may not accept because you're not kin to them and it's not immediate family. If we turn you loose and can't go back to Ohio, what you gonna do? I mean, you gonna be back on the streets?
Contact with Mr. Rogers here, Terry Rogers, who runs a sober living house, and trying to get it established there if need be, where I could stay somewhere until I can get a job and get an apartment, or do something until I get my paper, my parole transferred to Ohio. I'm a
And
resident.
how old are you?
Excuse me.
How old are you?
I'll be in 2 days. I'll be 65.
Okay. I have further questions.
I was in the process of getting my Social Security disability. I have COPD, I have diabetes, I have AMD, which is age-related macular degeneration. Basically, I'm a bad health. I'm
Can you
blind.
draw regular Social Security? Do you draw Social?
And
Do you draw any Social Security now?
I was in the process of doing that when I got ended up on this.
Okay.
I mean, it's a done deal. I have to give my disability because I'm a veteran and I'm disabled. I can't really do much. I just had surgery on my leg. I'm going blind. I'm blind in my left eye.
Gotcha.
I
Okay.
have diabetes and I have high blood pressure.
I have no.
Okay.
David, you know what you want to do?
I was looking at your diminution of sentence certificate in Louisiana where we let you go.
Yes, sir.
There was an address, but basically what it says there, it says, if released for any reason prior to June 1st, 2027, you are to report to Sandra Ortego, 300 Louisiana, 337-238-6427, and that sheet is signed by you.
You are trash, Lindsay. You are trash.
Okay.
The same signature.
Years ago, though. And
So you just forgot about it.
my memory is not that good. I can't remember that. And you know, like I said, I had a lot of traumatic events that happened over
All right.
the next.
One more question. I don't have all the details right in front of me, but I'd like to know a little bit about your manslaughter charge in Louisiana and your charge over there in Ohio. What did you have to do 37 years for? You said you did 37 years. That's a lot.
22 down there. I did 22 in Louisiana. And then I got out, I was on parole when I left and caught this charge, this manslaughter charge. And I had to go back and finish my parole time.
What were you on parole for over there?
In Ohio?
Yeah.
For robbery and ag assault.
And then you had a manslaughter down here that caused that to get revoked?
Yes, sir.
And well, tell me a little bit about the manslaughter. What happened there?
It was a fight, and the guy grabbed the hammer, tried to hit me with it. I took it from him, hit him with it.
Some question about it.
I was working on his house for him, fixing a redwood ceiling. It was falling in, and we had some tools laying around. He grabbed one, tried to hit me with it.
Y'all fighting about money, women, or
And
drugs?
so he was drunk and being very belligerent at a place where we were at, and he was disrespectful to this woman. And I told him, man, you ought to be cool. And he kept on stewing on that, kept on being mad about it, you know. And he finally got, he was irate about it. He was very, very inebriated.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Hey, you're welcome.
No questions I have.
I move for an executive session.
Do I have a second?
Thank you.
Got a motion and a second to have an executive session. I'd ask staff to call roll, please.
Freeman,
Yes.
Frame,
Yes.
Fowler.
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna be in executive session just for a few seconds and a few minutes maybe, but we'll be right back. So just stand by.
Okay,
All right, so they're going into an executive session. I'm kind of curious as to what they're talking about in this situation. I mean, in one sense, they're like, if we just revoke him, it's another year and a half. Maybe that will just simplify things. He can finish his time. He can go do what he wants, or we don't, and now we have to actually, But it's interesting because look, he was caught in an outright lie, but it's not like he's done the worst type of offense for getting revocated. It's like he just didn't go to the office and sign up, right? Am I missing anything? Now we can, while we wait, we'll do this in real time. We'll do this quick because they're going on an executive session. We'll go over just a little bit of the details of his crime. It was pretty brutal. But before we do, this jail cell, like the background there, and with all the inmates walking around and stuff, it's like nothing we've ever seen. And it's kind of what I'd imagine when I would think of a jail cell in Louisiana, like a dungeon, a place you don't want to be, scary as hell. Like every type of negative vibe and emotion went through my body as I was looking there. And it's just so bizarre that they're making him do a hearing with the jail population sitting right there. And it's like, you can't do that to someone. And what if he had a dirty jacket? What if there was something? I mean, this is how you get someone killed. But eventually it seemed that the CO took everybody out, but the guy in the wheelchair and everything, just totally wild. But man, that's the jail I always envision that we don't really see in these Louisiana hearings, right? Now, while we wait again, I think it's another 2 minutes on the executive session. It's really quick. But 1986, if you can even imagine, the man is locked up so long. And that's why I think you got to have some mercy on him, because maybe he was told and he did sign the contract, but the guy's brain is fried. He's been locked up his entire life. The defendant, Leonard Scott, met the victim, Thomas Bradford, in DeRitter. Scott was living with his aunt on Magnolia Street. DeRitter and Bradford lived next door. The two went drinking and ended up in Leesville. Eventually, the two men returned to Bradford's apartment. When they began arguing, Bradford took a swing at Scott, and Scott swatted Bradford's hand down and hit him with his fists and knocked him on the couch. Bradford got up and swung at Scott again, and Scott grabbed a hammer. Dang. This is where it goes, huh? Off a table and hit Bradford in the head with the hammer. But it wasn't one hit. This is where it goes. Scott repeatedly hit Bradford in the head with the hammer approximately 10 times. You see, this is where it goes from maybe he could have gotten a lighter sentence. Maybe it could have been like manslaughter. Maybe to when it's 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, the head would have been disintegrated. And that's just scary stuff. Scott then threw a sheet over Bradford, took some of Bradford's money, his car keys, and left in Bradford's car, and threw the hammer, clothes, towel in an isolated area. And then Scott returned to drinking. He just went, I'm going to go back and drink now. It's just crazy. And I don't know. What is this? After the comment, oh, this is something. You know what? Let's go listen to the result, and then we'll go back to this.
Okay, time's 9:37 in the morning, and we're
I'll make a motion that we go back to regular business.
got a motion and a second, so we're back into regular session now. And so we're still with Mr. Scott Leonard, and I think we're ready to vote. Since I had your case, I have to vote first. My vote is that you not be revoked, but that you have to stay in jail until you complete the interstate compact with Ohio. And if they'll accept you, then then you can get out of jail and go back to Ohio,
Okay, sir.
not come back to Louisiana.
I hadn't never planned that. So I was homeless. I was living on the streets.
Okay,
I finally got an apartment. My life started to come together a little bit. You know, and it's hard when you're my age. I'm 65 in 2 days.
okay.
My birthday's the 13th. I'll be 65 years old, and basically I've been in prison all my life, and I'm starting to get it together now. And I got
Yes.
a fiance. I got an apartment. I mean, you know, things are starting to progress in a positive way for me. And I've been,
We understand that, but the general public looks at your criminal history. You done some bad things in the past.
yes, I did.
And I want you to know we understand that. We understand you may be misleading us. You're gonna get out in a year and a half anyway.
Yeah.
But we'll let you out a few months early if you get your interstate compact and go to Ohio. If you don't do that, if that's not completed, if Ohio won't take you, you got to stay in jail.
Well,
Ohio bad,
I
but
don't even know how to do any of this stuff you're talking about.
The probation officer will come, have to do the interstate compact.
Okay.
you'll be contacted. And
Okay.
when you sign that paperwork, you be sure and read it carefully and remember it this time.
Okay. Well, I mean, you know, it was a long time, sir. I mean, it was a long time.
Yes, I know, 2006 is a long time to remember signing something. So
Yeah.
granting all that, and that, we took that into consideration too.
Okay.
Anyway, to make it real short, we find you guilty of all of these violations that you did,
Yeah.
but we're going to grant your request, or at least my vote is, to grant your request, providing you fill out and complete the interstate compact with Ohio and that they accept you. Otherwise, you got to stay in jail till the year and a half.
Yeah.
Got it?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna concur with Mr. Prater, but just to throw a few more details at you. The way the interstate compact works is the probation officer is gonna come and ask you to get your address for your fiance over there in Ohio.
Yes, sir.
Gonna send paperwork to the Ohio Probation and Parole Office, which you obviously know about them already. They're gonna go and check out the address that your fiance has, make sure it's acceptable and make sure she's willing to take you back. And if all that checks out, then they're gonna respond back to Louisiana and say, Ohio is gonna accept your case by way of interstate compact. When that letter is received by us, that Ohio is gonna accept your case, then that's when your release will become effective and you'll be able to go back. And you'll have like a certain amount of time to get over there and get in contact with them. Don't, wait and go 6 months later.
I have a birth ticket waiting on me.
Hold on, you need to listen to me because obviously it's the last time. I don't want you to get in trouble again. There's gonna be it's gonna be time dated, or from the time they accept you to the time you get over there and you go see them and you get everything straight on that end. Don't dilly-dally around over there or forget about it, because if you go over there and you don't meet the timelines, they're gonna immediately sign back saying he never showed up and we reject him. And then you're back in jail. There's gonna be another warrant. You're coming back over here again.
Oh, I understand that, sir. I'll be on top of that, everything. That's it. I got a
Also,
birth ticket
as a
waiting.
condition of probation, we're gonna add that, or condition of supervision, add that you pay the cost of extradition, what it costs us to get you back down here over a period of time, worked out with your probation officer, depending on financial status.
That's it, sir. I'm disabled. I am literally a disabled veteran. And I've been in the process of,
Run our money. Don't win the lottery or else we'll claim our money.
he's that good.
All right.
All right.
The bottom line said, if you're able to.
All right. Mr. Pete?
I concur, do not revoke, complete interstate compact, and upon release, pay costs of extradition.
Okay. So that concludes this.
Can I pay that in small increments?
Yeah, they gonna
Yes.
set it up. They gonna set up a payment.
A payment you can afford.
Okay.
All right. Okay, that concludes our business in Beauregard. I think we're signing off from Burgoyne. Thank you. And you
Thank you.
are not vote.
Good.
Okay, so they decided not to revoke, and I'm happy that they did. But now he has to figure out the X thing, the whatever it's called, the compact. And we'll go over more because this appeal is quite interesting. We'll do it real quick. I don't know. There were some interesting things in the appeal, but it's what was interesting is how he's like, well, how can I pay for it? You know, and he's sitting there saying that and kind of diving in and how am I going to do it and what's the payment plan, and you got to give him credit for that, because if usually an indicator of someone who has intentions of paying back a loan will ask those type of questions, while others who maybe have no intention will just say, okay, sure. But that being said, I mean, when you are just giving your freedom and it's like a year and a half of your life on the line, or you probably shouldn't ask those questions. You don't want them to get it. You would just say, okay, yeah, I will do it. But he's been locked up a long time, and I don't know. I gotta tell you, I have a feeling we're gonna see him again. Not so much that he's gonna screw up, but more like how the compact is not going to go through, and then there's going to be some type of legal obligation to have another version of this revocation here. We've seen it before, but if we do see him, he will be in the return of playlist. We have a bunch that have come up recently that fall into that category, return of playlist. Some hearings as far back as 5 years later. Now, all right, I understand what you are. So this is the language in which the defendant finds prejudicial concerns. The potential jury, Carrie Woods, expressed that she could not judge another human being because her strong religious beliefs. She also stated she was a member of the Church of Christ. The trial judge then commented on Miss Woods' religious conviction, stating, all right, I understand what you are saying, but I hope you can understand that if everybody had just a minute, if everybody had your view, our system of law simply wouldn't function and we'd all run around knocking each other off. That's funny. So again, this is part of his appeal. I'm not sure this comes to play, but I think we'll find out. After this comment, the defense attorney approached the bench and trial judge, admonishing the jury as follows. Let me say to you, jurors, that have you been chosen, and to all of you, my choice of words perhaps was unfortunate when I commented about what might be the result of jurors who are citizens who felt that they could not serve as jurors by running around knocking one another off. Just remember, keeping in mind that this is Louisiana in the 80s. I have like this cousin Vinny, scenario playing out in my head. Please disregard that comment. I was not making with reference to this case, and since there is a homicide involved, it was a poor choice of words on my part. But I simply meant to indicate that there has to be, for our system to work, citizens who are willing to sit in judgment. This is because of the need for fairness in the community in which offenses occur, so please disregard that terminology and we shall proceed from here. Now, fair enough, that's a good reason to, I guess, appeal as any. I don't really understand why, but, why not? If this thing out of the ordinary, wanted a mistrial, blah, 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 blah. Anyways, he didn't get it. He went to prison for a bajillion years. He had his parole hearing. I wish we had it, but I think it was before 2020. I don't know. That must have been why it was before 2020, so we didn't get it. And there you have it. I mostly wanted to play this hearing because of just how spooky the background was. It was just something else. But
Lober DOC number 87251. You're a fifth class offender. Parole eligibility date 1/10/2023. Good time date 5/11/2045. Full term date 1/10/2053. 50-year sentence. For 3 counts of simple burglary, armed robbery, aggravated battery. Does that sound correct?
Yes, sir.
Hi, would you answer Mr. Marabella, please?
So how do you pronounce your last name?
Lober.
Lober.
L-O-E.
Okay, I thought that's what I thought. I'd heard something different. Mr. Lober, my name is Tony Marabella. Your case was assigned to me, so I'll start questioning. Mr. Lober is 62 years old, is that right?
66.
66, okay. And how long have you been in prison on these charges?
Almost 20 years, be 20 years, January 10th.
Mr. Lober, in looking at your file and looking at your history, tell me what was going on with you 20 years ago.
I was working as an automotive technician and I injured my back and I was prescribed Oxycontin and became addicted to the Oxycontin. And while going through withdrawals, I was desperate and robbed a man for his truck.
And what else did you do?
Assaulted him and took his truck.
What about the other burglaries?
That was when before I robbed Mr. Bouchard, my victim. I had gone through some vehicles looking for car keys, trying to steal a car.
And then you got caught at the casino trying to cash a check?
I wasn't trying to cash a check. The girl that I
Well, the
had,
girl you was with tried to cash a check.
right.
And then they found other items on you,
Yes, sir.
and you basically confessed, right?
Yes, sir.
So tell me, Mr. Lober, who you are today. How have you dealt with or prescription drug addiction?
I realized I was an addict. I went through severe withdrawals in the parish prison. And after my withdrawals, I had my wife contact Mr. Bouchard, find out who he was. And I actually called him collect in the parish and told him who I was, told him I'm the man that robbed you, and I just wanted to apologize. Well, since then, you know, Mr. Bouchard seemed like a real nice man. He said he understood, you know, and I told him I wasn't going to bother him anymore. And since I came into Department of Corrections, I admitted that I was powerless over my addiction. My life had become unmanageable. And I decided I needed to help myself, fix myself, because I was broken. I was in a very dark place, you know, and I started taking programs. You know, I've taken just about every program that's been made available to me for my rehabilitation, you know, religious aspect, drug addiction. I've done just about anything I could to make myself a better person, because I was a bad person back then.
So what is your plan to stay sober, to stay off of these prescription drugs?
I have no desire. I plan to advocate against opioids, and I plan on continuing with my recovery through NA and AA. Really, NA I find more useful because I was on narcotics. You know, I've never been a drinker, you know, and work with other people. Eventually, my ultimate goal would be to try to start a halfway house, a faith-based halfway house. I've got a lot of religious programs under my belt. I'd like to start a faith-based halfway house to help people overcome their addictions just as I have, you know.
When did you hurt your back and start on the prescription meds?
That was in 2000.
Now, you've got a pretty long history before that. I mean, you have a pretty significant criminal history before that, and you had a very poor supervision history. Now, were you on drugs back then?
I smoked marijuana, yes, sir. My problem was marijuana. And through these programs, I found out that marijuana is actually a trigger to do other things, you know.
It wasn't just the prescription meds that got you addicted. It was actually marijuana. I mean, you started out, it looks like in 1975, 1976, 86, 98. And all of your supervisions that you had resulted in revocation for being sent back, mainly because you couldn't comply with the supervision requirements. So when did you actually start smoking marijuana?
In junior high school.
And how often were you smoking marijuana during all of this time?
Yes, sir. Yes.
How often were you smoking?
Almost daily back then.
Have you ever used cocaine or heroin or anything like that?
I've tried cocaine a couple of times and didn't like the effects of it.
When did you do that?
That was probably right after high school. Right after high school.
So it's fair to say, well, it's true, and I accept the fact that you were hooked on prescription meds. It started long before you back in.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And what is your transition plan? I understand that where will you be going when you get out?
I was going to go to Arkansas with my sister and my mother, but I felt it'd be best if I went through transitional housing through the parole project. You know, to where I would be under supervision still when I'm released, you know.
Tell me what's in Arkansas. What will you be doing there?
Actually, that's part of the thing too, because my sister and my mother live like 50 miles from the nearest city out in the country, and employment would be a problem for me. I was a ASC certified master automotive technician. The parole project has set it up to where I'd have a job at Jerry Lane Chevrolet.
Now, as you've been in prison, I know you've taken living in balance, substance abuse education, recovery dynamics, in a lot of other programs. What programs for substance abuse do you think is the most helpful to you?
Recovery dynamics. I was actually a peer facilitator in recovery dynamics aftercare. That helped me the most. Now, I also making peace with my past because I grew up in a dysfunctional family. My parents were alcoholics. In fact, they were violent alcoholics. And making peace with my past relieved me of some of the guilt I felt about that, because I blame my parents for a lot of things. And I'm really the one to blame for what my problems. But recovery dynamics aftercare have been the most helpful programs for me.
Mr. Lober, your disciplinary history is pretty good. You've only had 7 write-ups and you haven't had any since 2014. But 5 of your 7 write-ups were for fighting. Tell me about that.
Well, I'm getting older. You know, when I first came to DCI, I wasn't, in Angola, it's a lot of respect among inmates. You know, I came here and I wasn't used to a younger group of people, and I'm older, and I wasn't used to the disrespect here, and I would react to it. You know, I would challenge, you know, when I should have just looked the other way. You know?
Mr. Lober, you mentioned Mr. Beauchard. He is in favor of your release as long as you've got treatment in prison. You have, and that's a good thing. But you know, you mentioned Arkansas, living 50 miles from the country. How are you going to be able to get to AA meetings and make sure that you follow up with your sobriety if you move to Arkansas and way out in the country away from the city? What are your thoughts about making sure you stay sober?
That's why I want. That's why I want to go. That's why I want to go to the parole project. Because the parole project is already located at AA and NA meeting location. They'll provide me with transportation to and from work at Jerry Lane. Now,
But
Arkansas.
I think, am I wrong that ultimately you want to go to Arkansas, or no? You want to stay here?
No, I'm gonna stay here and, you know, hopefully be able to get a travel permit to go see my mom and my sister. You know, I mean, I can't leave the state, so I'd have to go through the parole office to get a travel permit to do that. But my best option for me is to stay here in Baton Rouge under the project supervision.
Couple of things that you can't do anything about. You've got law enforcement opposition. Your needs are low and your risk assessment is low. Warden, what can you tell us about Mr. Lober?
Good morning, Mr. Barabella. You kind of covered a good bit of it. He's got a really good write-up history. I think his last one was 2014. He arrived at DCI in 06, and then 14 was his last write-up. He is a Pride member, which, you know, we deal with a lot. Yeah, he works the same job for, I think 7 days a week. He works in our boiler room, so he's had the same job for 12 years, I believe. And he does a good job. He causes no issues, and he's always there when we need him.
Thank you very much. Good comments. That's all I have, Mr.
All
Chair.
right, we're here from Mr. Andrew Hunley.
Andrew Hunley with Louisiana Parole Project, appearing before the board to confirm that Stephen is a client of ours. As Stephen, suggested, the plan is that he would go into our residential reentry program until a time where he can become sufficient and get his own housing. Obviously that will take several months at a minimum to do, but we commit to housing for him. Until that time, he has obviously great skills. We're confident we're going to be able to connect him to that job that was discussed. And we are also confident that we will be able to provide him with access to continued care as it relates to his sobriety. He will get a substance abuse evaluation from our staff social worker as soon as he comes on board, and we'll give him recommended follow-up as it relates to his AA meetings and such, and ensure that he gets a sponsor. Long story short, Parole Project's committed to Stephen's long-term reentry, and we have a great deal of confidence in his ability to be successful. Thank you.
Yes, good morning. My name is Radisha Truitt, and I'm just speaking on behalf for Stephen. He is the father-in-law of my daughter, and he is the pawpaw to my 3 grandkids. And I know he's shown remorse through the years for what he's done. And I just think he'd be a positive asset to society at this point, and also in our family, because we need him. The kids need him. The 2 grandboys that I have, they need a male figure in their life, and I just feel like Stephen would be that male figure, and we fully support him in all that that he's going to accomplish, and we're excited.
All right, thank you so much for your comment. All right, we'll hear from Mr. Stephen. You can make a comment, and then Ms. Cameron, if you want to wrap it up at the end, that'd be great. Stephen, would you like to make a statement on your behalf?
Yes, sir. I feel that I've done just about everything I could possibly do to make myself a better person. I've been limited because I just came up with this parole date. I've been limited because of the length of my sentence. I could have done much more, but doors were closed on me because of the length of my sentence. But what I could do, I did. And I feel that I'm a better person that came in here, because I was in a dark place. My life was unmanageable. I was denying my addiction, but I've admitted it now. I've done everything I could possibly do to make myself a better person and to remain drug-free.
All right, thank you so much, Ms. Cameron. Would you like to wrap it up?
Yes, board members, just have a couple of comments. I think, we always hear about that a drug addict needs to hit rock bottom before they can come back up. And I truly believe that Stephen hit that rock bottom when he was in parish prison. He found himself in extreme pain and withdrawal from OxyContin, and only credits the other inmates that were with him for the reason that he's alive today. They made sure he was eating and drinking when he really just wanted to give up. Mr. Lober, as soon as he came out of that withdrawal, began working within the parish prison, asking if he could continue to work because he knew he needed to do better. And then when he came into DOC, when he got committed to DOC, he started his programming even before he had the option of parole. He started trying to make himself a better person. He controls his pain through holistic methods, including stretching and yoga. He refuses any type of painkiller. I don't think that he will ever regress to a drug addict again, and he will do what he needs to do to make sure that he doesn't. His family here, I just wanted to make sure that the board understands he has no plans to go to Arkansas other than just to visit. His family here is Miss Truitt and Miss Slaughter, and they plan on supporting him. And he will be a long-term resident at Parole Project until he can support himself. In addition to them, he's got our law firm. We do not just let go of our clients. We are here for whatever he needs as well. So I just would like to say that I think Stephen is a model of rehabilitation. He has done what he needed to do to prove that to the board. And we just ask that y'all give him a second opportunity to go out and make a difference in the world.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much for your comment. Family prepared to vote?
Yes.
Mr. Marabella?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Lober, you've done well while you've been in prison. You've had some good programs. You've got a good sobriety plan. You've got a good transition plan. The one victim that has responded is not opposed to your release because of the things that you've done. You're low risk, low needs, good comments from the warden. My vote today would be to grant to the Parole Project with conditions. Once you leave through the Parole Project, that you do at least 3 AA meetings a week and continue that even after you leave the program. And I'm also going to request that you do 5 hours of community service per week after you've been out for about 60 or 90 days. I think you've got a good story. You've got good family support, and your family seems to really need you. And you can really help not only your family, but other people as well. So good luck to you.
5 hours per week.
Per month, I'm sorry, per month. 5 hours of community service per month.
All right, Ms. Wise?
Mr. Stephen, I just want to commend you two on the work that you've done. You do have a story to tell about the opioid and how you come out of it. I like the yoga. When I read that, the stretch, that's something you can do with community service. Just kind of start a little group of yoga, and it's just an idea. But best wishes to you, sir. My vote is to grant conditions upon the Louisiana Parole Project and follow all. But I would add random drug screening by PNP. That's my only condition. Best wishes to you, sir.
All right, 2 votes to grant. Also going to vote to grant your parole today for the work you've done. Good institutional record, positive board and comments. You'll report to the Parole Project. You'll have NAA 3 times a week, 5 hours per month of community service, and you'll have random drug screens. You understand the stipulation?
Yes, sir.
2 votes to grant. Your parole's been granted. Good luck to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank all of you.
Wow, and they granted. His full term date was 2053, a 5th class offender, 60 years in jail, 20 years into his 50-year sentence. Way to go. I think that this is a great case of how someone can actually be rehabilitated. What do you think? You know, there's one thing that I feel safe to guarantee. There's one thing that is certain, and that is that we will never see Stephen L. Lober again.
Stephen Lober, 87251.
Mr. Lober, this is a parole revocation hearing. I want to explain our procedure to you. First, I'm going to cover your parole revocation questionnaire. Then I'm going to read the allegations about how you are alleged to have violated your parole. I'll then ask you to plead either guilty, not guilty, or guilty with a statement. Then we'll have a full discussion about the allegations, and you'll have an opportunity to say whatever you'd like to say to the board, and then we'll vote. You understand our procedure?
Yes, sir.
Do you have your questionnaire before you? Do you have that with you?
Sir.
Okay, would you mind taking a look at it, please? Is that your signature at the bottom on August 31st of 2023?
Yes, sir.
And is that information all accurate and correct still today?
Yes, sir.
Okay, are you ready to proceed with our hearing?
Yes, sir.
He's got our law firm. We do not just let go of our clients. We are here for whatever he needs as well.
Mr. Lober, your first alleged violation is number 4. On or about August the 27th of 2023, you were involved in criminal activity in the commission of the offense, theft in East Baton Rouge Parish. You were arrested by the Baton Rouge Police Department on August the 27th, 23, and issued an arrest summons, number 804741. How do you plead to that?
I'm pleading not guilty to that.
All right. Special condition number 13, due to your 8/27/23 arrest, the subject has immediately been removed from the parole project program by the parole project administration offices.
Long story short, parole project's committed to Stephen's long-term reentry, and we have a great deal of confidence in his ability to be successful. Thank you.
It's alleged that you violated a special condition. How do you plead to that?
Not guilty.
Right. Mr. Lober, your case has been assigned to Mr. Pete Freeman. He will begin our process of interviewing you. Would you please answer any questions he might have?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Lober, what are you in court for this morning?
For the theft charge, the misdemeanor theft charge.
Why you say you're not guilty of that charge when they got you on film?
Because I've been incarcerated since August 8th. And they were supposed to bring me to court within 30 days on that charge, and they didn't. So now I filed a motion, 701 motion for speedy trial. I didn't get an answer on that. Now today I'm filing a motion to quash because they didn't arraign me within 30 days.
Mr. Lober, that has nothing to do with these proceedings. Whether or not they have taken too long to prosecute you is a whole different animal. Today, we're here to determine whether or not factually you committed the allegations or not. So that's what we're here for.
And I'm gonna explain to you about that. I took the Amazon package off the neighbor's porch. It's a blighted property. I've never seen anybody move in there, no vehicles in and out. The grass is 2 feet tall. It's got trash in the yard. I'm thinking this was abandoned package in front of a blighted property. So I took the package. The package had been rained on. The package had been rained on the day before. The package was there that morning, the day before, that morning, and that evening when I took the package. I opened it to see if there was an.
That's not yours. Why would you take the package, period?
Because it was raining on it. And I didn't think anybody lived
When the
there.
deputies came to your house, you didn't know nothing about it at first. Didn't you go get the
No, I
stuff?
called the police.
The packages were open, correct?
I opened the package, yes, sir.
Okay, and you're no longer at the parole project, correct?
No, sir.
Okay. I have no further questions.
Anything you'd like to say, Mr. Lober?
Sir?
Anything you'd like to say before the panel votes?
Yes, sir. Now, this isn't like I went across the street or anything. This is, 30, 40 feet away. I sit out there every evening. I've never seen anybody at this property. No, I've never seen any vehicles in and out of there, no lights on. The people told, when the police officer came, I told him I had the package. I said, here it is, it's intact. I said, I didn't know anybody lived there. He said, I could see why you thought that, And in fact, he told me, he said, I'm not going to write you a summons until I talk to my supervisor because the property looks like it's blighted, abandoned. It actually rained on the package. I was trying to give the package to whoever owned it. I wasn't stealing the package. I have a good job. I make good money. I didn't need the package, but it was sitting out there in the weather. And what I did was, now that I think about it, is actually stupid. I didn't have theft in anywhere in my thoughts about it, you know? It's just a package been sitting there and I've been watching it for 2 days. Nobody been in and out of that house ever that I know of, you know? I mean, this is going, you know, it was stupid on my part, you know?
You explained all of this to the parole project
Yes, sir.
and they
Yes,
still
sir.
kicked you out?
Huh?
And they still kicked you out?
Well, I was moving out anyway. I was already moving out prior to this. I put down a deposit and the rent on the trailer. You know, I was already moving out of the project. You know, I have a job. I have a good job. I work as a mechanic. I make good money. I've been out since January 10th and I've accomplished a lot. I've got a job. I've got transportation. I've bought tools for my, you know, I got a job as a mechanic. I didn't own a screwdriver. I bought almost $2,000 worth of tools so I could do my job. You know, I bought clothes, all my necessities. Then I'm fixing to move into a trailer. You know, I paid a $600 deposit on the trailer and $600 first month's rent on the trailer. And then I have money in the bank. You know, I mean, it's not like I needed it. I wasn't stealing this package. I didn't need this package. I don't know what's in that package. You know, and then I opened the package to see if there was an invoice in it, to see if there was a phone number, something to call for whoever did own it. And when there wasn't, I called the police. I called Baton Rouge City Police and told them I had the package. You know, I called the police to report the package.
Sir, in the report, it indicated that you had taken one of the items in the package and put it in the trash can.
No, that was an empty box. That was an empty box. The package was in 2 boxes. And when I opened it, I took the one box and threw it away and had everything in the one box. You know, because it had stuffing and stuff in it. You know.
The apartment that's across the street, isn't it an area where most people come in and out through the back door? And
No.
not the front door?
No, it's a dead end driveway. And we got houses on this side, a driveway, and then houses on that side with the little carports where you park your cars. There was never any cars over there.
Okay, because we have the father of the resident there called and was very concerned about it. So someone had been living there for a little over a year.
Well, I've never seen anybody.
Yeah, it doesn't mean it wasn't. So
and then it looks blighted.
Yeah.
The grass is 2 foot tall. There's trash all in the yard. There's old car parts in the yard. I didn't know anybody lived there.
Video that we saw, it didn't show all that. It did not show all that.
Doesn't show that at all.
Yeah, it doesn't show what you described.
Nice.
And yeah, that it's blighted. It doesn't, because she has a camera. You are aware that she has a camera on her front door.
Right.
And it doesn't match what you're saying. The picture we got doesn't match what you're saying.
The video also shows that there's a car in that carport.
There was that night when the police came.
No, sir, there was the day you took the package.
Yeah, there was a car here.
No, not at the time.
Video,
We're
sir.
looking at it.
Huh? At the time I took the package, you're saying there was a car parked there.
Looking at the video right now.
Yes, sir.
I didn't see a car parked under that carport at the time.
Okay. I recommend executive session to discuss confidential matters related to this case.
Second.
Second.
A roll call? Yes.
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 Mr. Lober, we're going to go into executive session to discuss matters of a confidential nature. We're going to pause this hearing momentarily. We'll resume as soon as we finish our executive session.
Okay.
You are trash, Lindsay. You are trash.
Call back to order. The time is 8:48. Panel ready to vote?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Okay, Mr. Lober, quite frankly, you ought to learn to tell the truth. Been doing this for 35 years. You told the truth. I'd have thought about giving you a break since you're back in so much time. But you've done nothing but tell lie after lie after lie. My vote is to revoke.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Ms. Wise?
Mr. Lober, at the end of the day, you just do not touch other people's property. You can sit there for 5 years. It's other people's property. It's not yours. You could have called the police and said, I noticed this package has been sitting there. What do y'all think I'll do about it? But it's somebody else's property. There are laws against that. So for those reasons, and you admitted in the hearing that you did take the package, something that don't belong to you. And you are in one of the most esteemed programs in the state. So you know right from wrong. My vote is the same for the same reasons.
Mr. Lober, you received 2 votes to revoke. My vote likewise is to revoke. Your parole has been revoked today. Good luck to you.
Excuse me. What happens if this charge is dismissed?
That's nothing to do with us. This is an entirely separate procedure. Doesn't matter what happens.
I'm going back to prison for the rest of my life.
Well,
because of this.
there are consequences for your actions, Mr. Lober.
I got until 2053.
Good luck to you, sir.
Can you even imagine? I know that some of you have seen this before, but only about, I don't know, 10% maybe. For some reason, the YouTube algorithm insists on hiding this. One of the crazier parole revocation hearings that we've seen. I mean, the look on his face, if you can imagine, and I think Mr. Pete Freeman with his mic drop, every once in a while, he drops a big one. It's like, you just had to be honest with me. They just wanted honesty. All he had to do was come in and say, I screwed up. All he had to do was come in and say that whatever the truth was, maybe he just can't help himself. He has to steal. He had to see what was in that Amazon box. Maybe, he came back on the, addiction wagon. They would have appreciated that. But the idea that he absolutely refused to admit that what he did was wrong made it so that the parole board locked him away for, till it's a death sentence, really. Now, again, let's go through the dates and process of what we are seeing here, because so he has the parole hearing on November 15, 2022. He's arrested August 27, 2023. And then he has this revocation hearing October 26, 2023. At the time of this hearing, February 2025, maybe we'll see him again. Although I'm not sure with the stricter parole laws about having to serve, I think, 80% of your sentence. And can you imagine giving it all up for that? But what other items do I need to bring up? I think it's important to bring up that his attorney, we've seen her before. I don't know if you remember the case, but there's a case where just a lot of us felt this way. She was like massaging the hands of one of the inmates during the entire commutation hearing for like an hour straight. And maybe I was projecting, but I thought he was really disturbed by it. It was just highly inappropriate. And she actually, this attorney, also married a former Angola inmate who was serving a life sentence. It's my understanding, and that's my belief. So I don't know. I don't like it. Don't come here and say we're here for now and we're here forever, when this is the time that he needed you most. You could have saved him from a revocation. You could have been there in the room and at least coached him on what to say, or had him not say much of anything and try to say it yourself. Although, I know they don't do that. Now it's possible that he never called her. It's possible, like she showed up that one day on his parole hearing and he really had no idea who she was and he didn't have her number. But as you see, the Parole Project, they also say that stuff. Oh, client, I was looking for the footage of it so I could put it in there. You always hear Kerry Myers say, once a Parole Project client, always a Parole Project client. BS. They kicked him out as fast as they could. And it's just, in my opinion, it's just a money-making machine, right? They don't want to deal with the headache, with the trouble. It's just, and he needed the help. And look, I don't feel good about this. He stole an Amazon package. I get it. But life. Now, what he's originally in for is in his jacket. Thank you, Sir Richard. Aggravated battery, armed robbery, simple burglary, and aggravated battery and armed robbery. And oftentimes, because we don't have appeals or anything like this, I wonder if those were reduced charges because if you went to court or not. But even if it wasn't reduced, aggravated battery, that's typically pretty bad. I mean, it's, you're robbing someone with a weapon. Maybe you're hurting them. Maybe you're hitting them. Maybe you're pistol whipping them. I'm not quite sure. But look, he's not a chomo and he hasn't killed anyone. And we have seen people get out. But the problem is, again, it's in his own hands. He just can't help himself. He's a fifth felony offender. He served 20 years on a 50-year sentence. He has everything going for him. He put money down on a trailer, but he just couldn't help it. And I wonder, what do you think was in that Amazon box? I mean, what ridiculous item was in that Amazon box? I wish he would have told us. I now need to know. It's you just can't make this stuff up. But if we do see him again, I'll make sure to pin it in the comment section because I would be kind of I'm just so curious to know.
Lober, at the end of the day, you just do not touch other people's property. You can sit there for 5 years. It's other people's property. It's not yours. You could have called the police and said, I noticed this package has been sitting there. What do y'all think I'll do about it? But it's somebody else's property. There are laws against that. So for those reasons, and you admitted in the hearing that you did take the package, something that don't belong to you. And you are in one of the most esteemed programs in the state. So you know right from wrong. So my vote is the same for the same reasons.
Mr. Lober, you received 2 votes to revoke. My vote likewise is to revoke. Your parole has been revoked today. Good luck to you.
Excuse me. What happens if this charge is dismissed?
That's nothing to do with us. This is an entirely separate procedure. Doesn't matter what happens.
I'm going back to prison for the rest of my life.
Well,
because of this.
There are consequences for your actions, Mr. Lober.
I got until 2053.
Good luck to you, sir.